In the year 1792, in a quiet village nestled within the English countryside, there lived a woman named Eleanor Whitcombe. She was known for her extraordinary embroidery, so fine and intricate that it seemed almost enchanted. Her work adorned the homes of the wealthy, her stitches forming scenes of pastoral life, noble gatherings and delicate floral patterns. But what few knew was that Eleanor's needlework did more than capture the present. It revealed the future. She had discovered her gift as a child when she embroidered a small bird perched upon her windowsill. The very next day, that same bird arrived, singing the tune she had imagined while stitching. At first, she dismissed it as coincidence, but as she grew older, she realized that every scene she wove into her fabric would come to pass. Her secret weighed heavily upon her. She never embroidered a death, a storm, or a war, fearing that her hands might bring misfortune upon the world. Instead, she chose only harmless, ordinary scenes, until the day she received a commission from Lady Margaret Fairchild, a noblewoman of great renown. Lady Fairchild requested an elaborate tapestry for her great hall, depicting a grand feast to celebrate her son's impending marriage. Eleanor worked tirelessly, carefully stitching the joyous gathering. But as her hands moved, an image began to take shape that she had not intended, a fire roaring through the hall, consuming the guests in its wake. Horrified, Eleanor tried to unpick the flames, but the threads refused to loosen, as if fate itself had woven them into the fabric. Trembling, she knew she had a choice: to deliver the piece as it was and risk the prophecy coming true, or to warn Lady Fairchild. Summoning her courage, Eleanor visited the grand estate, tapestry in hand. As Lady Fairchild admired the work, Eleanor hesitated, then spoke. Eleanor, Vaux. My lady, there is something you must know. This piece, it shows not only the joy of the evening, but also a great danger. Lady Fairchild scoffed at first, but when Eleanor pointed to the embroidered flames, the noblewoman's face paled. A deep unease settled over her, and, after much deliberation, she chose to heed Eleanor's warning. The feast was relocated to the garden, away from the grand hall's many candles and heavy draperies. That evening, as laughter filled the air and toasts were made under the stars, a sudden cry rang out. The great hall had caught fire, just as Eleanor had foretold. Had the guests been inside, none would have survived. Word of Eleanor's gift spread quickly. Some feared her, calling her a witch, while others sought her out, desperate to glimpse their own futures through her stitches. But Eleanor, shaken by the power she held, withdrew from society. She never embroidered another scene of consequence, choosing instead to depict only the safe and the mundane. Yet, as she sat by her candlelight, her needle dancing over the fabric, she could not help but wonder, was it her hand that had woven fate, or had she merely glimpsed what was always meant to be? And so Eleanor Whitcombe faded into legend, the woman who stitched the future, leaving behind only threads of mystery and whispers of destiny. In the autumn of 1793, beneath the golden boughs of a fading summer, Eleanor Whitcombe bore a daughter in secret. Born of an affair with a man of high standing, a man who could never acknowledge her, young Isabel was hidden away in Eleanor's cottage on the edge of the village. No one ever knew the father's name, for Eleanor never spoke it, not even as she whispered lullabies into her child's ear. Unlike her mother, Isabel Whitcombe did not grow up in solitude. She was a wild thing, untamed by society's expectations, her dark curls forever tangled from running through the heather fields. But while she was free in spirit, she was bound by something far greater, a gift that Eleanor had hoped would not pass to her child. It was at the age of 7 that Isabel first displayed the curse of her bloodline. She had been practicing her stitches under her mother's careful instruction, struggling to master the delicate threadwork. Frustrated, she abandoned the floral patterns Eleanor had assigned her and, in a fit of defiance, stitched a small broken cup upon a scrap of linen. That evening, as Eleanor served tea, her favorite porcelain cup slipped from her grasp and shattered upon the stone floor. The sight of it sent a chill through Eleanor's bones. She turned to her daughter, who sat wide-eyed, clutching the fabric with the broken cup, stitched in perfect detail. Eleanor's heart ached. She had spent her life fleeing the weight of her own power, trying to shield Isabel from the same burden. But fate had woven its own design, one that could not be unstitched. As Isabel grew, so did her abilities. She did not fear them as her mother did. Instead, she embraced them. Unlike Eleanor, she did not merely depict the future, she sought to change it. At 15, she embroidered a drowning boy with the intent to save him. The next morning, a village child fell into the river. Because she had foreseen it, Isabel arrived just in time to pull him from the current. At 18, she stitched a pair of lovers, reunited after years apart. A month later, a long-lost husband returned from war to find his wife still waiting for him, but with each triumph came darker whispers. Some called her a miracle worker, but others, those who feared what they did not understand, muttered of witchcraft, of meddling with God's will. Then, on the eve of her 19th birthday, she made her greatest mistake. A man came to her door in the dead of night, wrapped in a heavy cloak. He was no villager, but a gentleman, his voice refined, his posture tense. "I need your gift," he pleaded. "My wife. She is with child, but I have seen death in her eyes." Isabel, filled with both pride and compassion, promised to help. She spent the night stitching, carefully crafting an image of a mother cradling a healthy babe. But fate did not yield so easily. The next morning, the man returned, his face twisted with grief. His wife had died in childbirth, just as he had feared. Isabel's hands trembled over her embroidery. Where once she had stitched a mother and child, now only the babe remained. The mother's figure had faded, as if the fabric itself had swallowed her whole. She had tried to defy destiny, but the threads of fate could not be unwound. Heartbroken, she returned home to find her mother waiting for her. Eleanor, now greying but no less wise, simply held her daughter close. "You cannot control fate," she whispered. "You can only reveal it." From that day forward, Isabel never again attempted to alter the future. But unlike her mother, she did not hide from her power. She continued to stitch, knowing that each piece she created was a glimpse of what would come, and though the world would never know her name, the legend of the Whitcombe women, those who embroidered fate itself, would never be forgotten.